Hello everybody, this is another episode from a series of talks, New European Canon. My name is Grzegorz Jankowicz and I conduct conversations with writers chosen by Biuro Literackie for this project. Within 3 years there will be 21 books, 3 books of prose, 3 books of poetry and 1 book for children each year. Together they will create a mixture of new voices, new stories about problems, issues, experiences of Europeans. Today my guest is Bérengère Cournut. Hello Bérengère.
Hello.
In response to my question about the relationship between community and literature, or literature and community, you wrote that when you write, you don't think about community, you don't think about politics. When you write, you explore your own, often imaginary worlds. What are you looking for in these imaginary worlds created for the purpose of a new book?
Actually, I think the first thing I write is the landscapes. Mm-hmm. And so I only imagine the landscapes, and as I can't only write like a picture or like a painting, I have to create some human people to animate this landscape. And I think I never write like psychology or pure emotion. I just write the people are up and down in the landscape, and so that's why I think I like to imagine like communities like Inuit or Hopis or people who live the way of their landscape very in a different way than us. Mm-hmm.
And you added to the former quote that in writing, or while writing, you work with and on yourself. What does it mean?
Yes, I think I don't want to work on myself. Mm-hmm. I don't want to explore any part of my past. And I do it each time. Because I think when you go away from your home and some things in your mind are more free, and you think you are very far from you, and so you can find a view that you don't know, and it's very concrete. For example, for the Inuit, I thought that I was the only one in my family to have interest for Inuit. Mm-hmm. And I was working on it for 5 years, and one day I find in the archives of in a museum history, natural history museum in France, very famous one, I find a little object who looks like very familiar to me, and I had something in my house when I was a child, and my brother is older than me, 10 years, and I lost my father when I was 11, and I said to my brother, do you see this little play? It's a little toy, Inuit toy, just only a string and some things like round like that. And he said, yes, of course, our father built it when we were a child. But do you know it's Inuit? He said, no, I don't know it's Inuit, but our father, he was just fond of Paul-Émile Victor, and he was a famous French explorer. And each time he was on the TV, he was very interested by that. And so I do a way to the north, and my father did it before me, but I don't have any idea of that. And so it's a little bit, yes, strange.
Let me quote from your text. I realized very quickly that what I was really looking for in literature was to explore the relationship between people and their environment. This is what you're searching while writing. When and how did you make this discovery?
It's at the very beginning of the writing, because I think when I wrote my first novel, that was a seaside landscape, and it was a family with 3 children, and I come from a family from 2 children, and at the end of the novel, my publisher asked me to draw the map, and I draw the map, and I say, "Oh, I know this place," and that was. I'm sorry, I speak a lot of my father, but that was the last place I spent during the holidays with my father, and so. It was just strange to that. I think I rebuilt landscape that I know, but they are like augmented by the literature. Like it's there was one more island, and the name of the island was the sea, and so. I think in literature I do like it's like a other reality, and it comes really from the landscape, but I do something more, and they are landscape that I know very well, but even me I can't recognize them. It's after the writing that I say, oh, I know this place and I know these people, they are my family.
You want to move away, that's what you wrote in this response to my question, that you want to move away from an intellectual or emotional point of view to a sensual experience. Because that's the way the earth, the land is experienced in the communities you write about. Why do they have such an experience and we don't have this kind of experience? Why it's natural for them, and we have to search for that kind of experience in their culture?
I think we lost that, but not a very long time ago, because when I went in the United States and I discovered like all the native culture, I read lots of tales, and very often the tales tell why these mountains is named like that, why there is a deep hole in this place, and and I was fascinated. I say, oh yes, it's very, very beautiful stories, and when I came back in France, I was in the mountains for my work for a while, and I was in a little shop in the village, and I found the book with the tales of this part of France. And in France, it's very it's seen like old stories and not very interesting. And I read that we have exactly the same stories, and all over the world, the story is the same. We have like explanation for why your forests here are so close of the Baltic Sea, because one day a long time ago, Mother Forest was very in love with the father the sea. I don't know, but all this kind of story, you have them everywhere. And in Europe, I think in Occident, we thought it an old story for the children. And actually, I don't think so. It's for the children. We live in very big towns, and we don't see that the bitumen, the roads are made with the stone of our earth, and we don't see that the windows are done with the sand of the seaside. And I think we lost maybe 100 years ago. It's not very. But now we need the far culture to come back to that. But it's here. We are on the wood.
But do you believe that we can restore our relationship with this experience, or your books are only elegies for these lost times where we had that kind of ability to communicate with ourselves and with the world in a different way than now?
I don't know. I think we need, sometimes it's maybe what I said before, maybe we need to have pas de côté, you need to have some...
You have to make a step back.
Yes, a step back. Maybe to come back to your world, but it's like, and for me actually it's exactly like poetry. I don't think that poetry is only like you go to the line every time. Poetry is just a step back or a step aside, and it's another way to see the very daily things around you, and maybe for the nature and environment, and maybe we need for a while we need to have a step back or to go somewhere else, but to come back to our world with this eyes. That's exactly what I did for me in France or everywhere where I go, because I work on the Inuit or the Hopi for 5 or 7 years each time. It changed my eyes forever, I think.
But what made you so interested in this particular communities? Because I know what you are searching for, yeah. But as you said, it's everywhere in the world. There are, in the past there were communities having that kind of experience of the world, but you chose these particular ones.
Yes,
why?
And I do it again for next novel. Mm-hmm. So now, and I will be in the very south of America, in like Patagonia. Mm-hmm. And I think now I know why I do that. It's because for their communities in particular, they are in a very dangerous or very exigent landscape, and so they have a wonderful capacity to adapt themselves. Okay. And so for me it's very interesting to see how they deal with the death, with the birth, with all these very common things, because yes, their way to, they are very direct in their way to manage the terrible things we can meet in our lives. And
so would it be legitimate to say that you are interested in their strategies of survival?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. And I don't do that for that, really, but as I do that for many years now, I think it's very interesting, because in the future, in the very near future, we will have to adapt to lots of things. And I'm not particularly nervous about all the things will happen, but maybe I should be nervous. But I think it will be very important to stay focused on all these issues, and we have to no panic, and we have to be the Inuit or the Hopi. They are very calm people, very peaceful, and very. But for the Inuit, when they have to act, they do it without lots of thinking. But that they react.
You focus on the topic of initiation often. Why is it so important to you?
I think it's important too because very often the initiations are not very easy things. It's always a proof, épreuve. And actually, I think it's very good things because you prepare yourself to the hard things of your life, and so you are prepared. And you will be more efficient or more cool when you will have the real stuff.
Those who support the own voices concept for writing, for storytelling, argued that a person's or group's unique experience can be expressed or described only by a person who had that kind of experience or who belong to that group. This is, of course, anti-appropriation position. What does it mean to you? How do you deal with this problem of possible appropriation when you write about Hopi or Inuit culture?
I am very, very conscious of this issue, and I hesitated a long time to write it before, but it was stronger than me, so I did that. I tried to speak about that with them each time I can, but it's not very often. And I also saw that it's a very, very important debate, and we have to have it with them, with the communities, and also lots of people of these communities are ready, or they want to have some exchange with us. They are not them in a world and us in another world, not at all. But we have to listen what they have to say, how they react of this try of appropriation. But also we don't have to be like in the silence, terrified silence about this issue. For me, I am very okay with the fact that I am not translated in English, and it's a good thing because I don't go in their area, and because if they need place to be more present, it's very important that they occupy the place. But also in Europe, some people today, some Inuit are to reactive their memory by the work of the anthropologist, French anthropologist, and some objects come back to Greenland by the French, and some stories come back to Greenland by this work. So we have to share the more we can, and to be respectful, and we don't have a higher or lower position. We have to try to understand ourselves. Sometimes it's not possible because my example for the concept of Mother Earth, sometimes we can't understand each other, or political or the administration. Or, for example, in the USA, the natives say, okay, you want to give me a piece of land, but it's my mother earth. Do you want that I take your mother, I kept something, and I give you a piece of your mother? Is it okay for you? No, it's not. So we have to try to understand each other. It will be not a success each time, but we have to try.
Have you received any comments from representatives of these communities, readers that, for example, those Inuits or Hopis that read your book and then commented upon it?
Not, never in the Finnish book, but I had some exchange, and I was very nervous about that. So I was asking, but what do you think? White people like me, I wrote on you. And I was in Alaska after the novel writings, and I was asking that to an old man, and actually I think he didn't understand very well. He said, "Okay, you know, I don't. We were in near from Detroit, the very up north, and." He said, "You know, I don't know anyone here that who writes novel about our stories. If you do that seriously, just do it." Because he was involved in the preservation of Inuit languages, and he said, "You know, I know here some kids, they don't speak Inuit language." So I have to fight that they know the Inuit language. If you know some old stories about us, and if you don't say bullshit, just do it. It's okay.
But at the same time, this novel of yours is a pretty universal story. About female experience, the character,
Yeah.
The main character, and her experiences can be understood by those who have nothing to do with Inuit culture, who lives elsewhere, who had similar experiences. Besides the fact that these experiences were gained in a different part of the world.
And also, I always write in a no time. It's at and I think it's a novel, but I write this more like a tale. All that I write is real, because I did lots of work, lots of I read a lot, and all the things I describe were real in the past, in maybe 50 or 60 or 70 years ago. It could happen, like in different parts of Arctic. It could happen, yes, at the beginning of the 20th century for sure. But I also write something wrong, and it's like a tale, and that's why, for sure, we can read it, and also it's the point of view of a woman. And often we don't have very often the point of view of a woman for a long story, and so that was also a way for me to explore the same story that we know by the explorers and the hunters, and okay, yes, and with the woman, how is it? And it was a way to me to explore what is it, because I very often I needed to interpret the same story seen by a woman.
Okay. Bérengère, thank you for the conversation. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.